How's everybody doing tonight? This is Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone, discussion number 53. Tonight, my special guest is PQ from the Montreal Canadian band Cell Press. I can't say, I mean, the band is amazing. Please go to their Bandcamp if you never heard them. They're unbelievable. The 2 new songs that they just dropped blew me away. He was also in a band called Angles, and he was also in a band called Animal Ethics. We'll get all into that. We'll talk a little hockey. Just a great guy. Super stoked to talk to him. Hope everybody's good. I'm going to get him right now.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on?
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I feel great. It's a beautiful day. Just chilling, relaxing. Brought the dog to the park. Relaxed in the shade. I'm just having a beer now. It's a beautiful day.
Nice.
That's what it's all about.
If I break up at all, let me know, because I think I remedied that situation and rectified it. I have shitty service where I live in the suburbs, and I had to buy a Verizon extender to get bars at my house. So hopefully I don't break up at all anymore.
Oh, it sounds good, man, right now. So
Perfect. I want to thank you for doing this and taking time out to do it, especially on a Sunday. You know what I mean? I got work at 6 a.m. tomorrow, so I know it's a stretch for some people to take time out on Sunday. It's relaxation day and stuff like that. But I really appreciate it.
to me, man, this is relaxing, man. Just sitting down with a good guy, chopping it up, and talking about stuff I like to talk about. So, yeah, man, no problem at all. I'm a single and ready to mingle, so I do not have any wife or children or anything like that at home. So yeah, man, I'm all yours, baby.
Sweet. Sweet. First off, I just wanted to say, I told you I was a Montreal Canadiens fan. I didn't pay attention too close this year. Once COVID hit, I was kind of like out of hockey a little. Not out of it. I was like watching it sparingly. I was huge, like maybe like 3 years ago, until I was like a younger kid. I think fantasy hockey fucked my likes up totally by doing that every year. But saying that I was a Montreal Canadiens fan, I hate people that say, oh, I'm a fan of that team, and they don't back up what they're saying. So I just want to show you a few Montreal Canadiens things just to show you the love I have for Montreal, all right? So
Beautiful. Ron, I'm glad you're tuned in to see this, buddy.
first off, I have the 2016 Winter Classic hat.
That was in Boston, eh?
Yeah, Foxborough.
Yeah.
Now, this one's going to shock you. I got this, but guess what name it is?
Camilleri, nice. Hey, man, he was really fun when he was here. He was really fun when he was here.
Yeah,
for sure.
Larry. This I got. This is a winter Canadiens jacket, and it's also a reversible Canadiens jacket when you pull it out. So a little reversible winter jacket. And lastly, I got the classic right there.
Oh, nice. Beautiful, man.
So just wanted to show you that, like, I
I
can't.
believed you, but you just proved yourself 100% not guilty in court of being a secret fan of Bruins there. So I believe you. The verdict is in.
So obviously Montreal, came close with the cup. What did you think of that? I mean, obviously me and Ron hate Tampa Bay. I think that's probably my most hated team in the NHL. I don't think, sorry to all my Florida friends, but I just don't feel like hockey should be in Florida. I mean, that's just me. So what did you take on that?
Well, yeah, there's 2 teams in Florida and 1 team in Quebec. How does that make sense? We're like the Mecca over here,
Yeah.
But it was, you know what, man? I'm not gonna be too upset because nobody expected them to get past the first round, and like I told you guys on the last one, we had like a curfew in the city until right up till the playoffs started, and then they just started like a magical run, and it was like the perfect time for people to, when the curfew was lifted then, so it was the perfect time for people to just celebrate after not being able to leave their house like 8 o'clock after 8 o'clock at night for 6 or 8 months or whatever it was. So I'm just like thankful that that magic happened and we beat the Leafs. We'll always have that over them, man. Like the rivalry between the two cities is really, really, really intense, and we'll always have that over them.
Now
Yeah.
that being said, do you think Boston and Montreal are rivals anymore? Because I feel like they're not that much of a rival anymore. Not like it was in like the not like anywhere from the 70s all the way up to maybe early 2000s. I really don't think they're rivals anymore, honestly.
Well, like they haven't even played one game in 2 years now, right? So, and the amount of turnover in rosters and stuff like that, like you need to get the like consistent rosters for like a good couple years and play like 6 to 8 games a year and a playoff series, and that it will be back eventually. But yeah, it's definitely not strong right now.
Yeah.
Um, but like us hardcore guys, we'll always fucking hate the Bruins, man. No doubt about that.
um, Also, I wanted to ask if there was any player in the NHL that you would like to see come to Montreal in the offseason to maybe bolster the lineup.
Jack Eichel would be nice.
Now, but the funny thing you said that is now I heard today that the Bruins are mentioned with him now.
God, I could totally see that happening too, man.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I mean, didn't he play? I think he played at Boston College too, didn't he?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I think he's a New England guy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ron had told me that Montreal was there was a rumor of Ovi, uh, you know, a breath of Ovi in the Montreal future, maybe. What would you think of that?
I think there's a lot of people like saying that they'd like to see that on Twitter and stuff like that, but like I would love to see it too, man. Like him mentoring like a Cole Caulfield or something like that would be like amazing, you know what I mean? But I can't see a player of that like just what he's done in Washington. Like I can't see him playing anywhere else but Washington, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But you know,
that's exactly
but
what I.
Gretzky got traded, anybody get traded. That's the old line, right?
True.
So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Steve Eiserman got traded too. I think didn't he at the end of his career too? I think.
no, 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 absolutely not.
Oh,
Don't
he
talk
stayed.
about the goat that way.
Oh, for some
Yeah,
reason I thought he left for 1 year, but I guess I was wrong.
I have behind me a framed picture of Steve Eisman right there that's autographed that I got when I was like 7 years old, and it's been on my wall my entire life.
Now,
He's a god to me, man.
now you said you were a Detroit Pistons fan. Now, were you where were you like born and raised?
Well, I was born and raised in Windsor, Ontario, right across the river from Detroit, until I was 12 or 13 years old, and then I moved up to North Bay, Ontario, which is I don't know 8 hours driving north from there. But like growing up in Windsor, my family had season tickets to the Tigers and the Red Wings. So I just always been like a big fan of all Detroit sports and all Detroit's just such an amazing city, man. That's been like there's so much good music that comes out of there of all genres. That people are eventually discovering. There's like a renaissance of Detroit rap coming out right now in Flint as well, like all Michigan rap. But yeah, I love that area, and it'll always be connected with me. You're always connected with the place you're born, right?
Yeah, true, definitely. Were you a big Bad Boy era Detroit Pistons fan?
Well, when I was a kid, that was the team, right?
Yeah.
But my family were not basketball fans so I was like just a kid that liked it, but I never got to go to games or anything like that when I was a kid. Um, but I've been a Detroit Pistons fan you know, since I was a little kid, you know.
Yeah, nice, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved back then with Vinnie Johnson and Joe Dumars and um, obviously Rodman, and it was just a great time. You know what I mean? It was that's the way basketball should be played. Now it's kind of it's so touchy now, and like
Hmm.
I miss the old days of that kind of basketball. Honestly,
Me too, man. That was some tough men.
definitely, definitely. So sorry, I went to sidebar of sports, but I'll get back to music. I always ask, what got you into punk and hardcore? Like, what were the bands that kind of turned you into liking that kind of music, and what were you listening to before punk and hardcore?
Well, when I was growing up, my parents were older than most people, most other parents, you know. So my parents listened to a lot of just like classical music and opera, and like I think like maybe the hardest that they would go would be like Willie Nelson or something like that. My mom's favorite was Roger Whittaker. Yeah, like the Whistle King, the Whistle God.
Yeah.
So that's like what I listened to until I was old enough to like, open up my ears and then when I was like, maybe 11, 10 or 11, I started listening to hip hop. I was because I had a radio in my room and I can get the Detroit stations and and then when I moved up, I never was into punk rock when I was living in Windsor and stuff. But when I moved back up to North Bay, I was a little shit, man. I was always getting in trouble, and I discovered I think I was into like Nirvana and the whole grunge thing came along, and then somebody that I know showed me Minor Threat and Dead Kennedys, and then that just became an avalanche of stuff, which is like an answer you get all the time, right? Those two bands, and they were just like I was obsessed with them when I first heard it. I couldn't believe that anybody was making music like that, and yeah, that just set off the avalanche, man. Those two.
And were those two bands like your favorite bands, or did you kind of like find other bands that you really like? Because obviously, Minor Threat to me is like one of my favorite bands of all time too. I wasn't huge on Dead Kennedys just because they were a little more, I don't know, a little more punky, and like I was always a straight up hardcore kid. You know what I mean? I I kind of progressed into that though because I was listening to metal first when I was real young, like heavy metal, and then and then that turned into thrash metal, and then that turned into just like straight up hardcore. So
Yeah.
I've always been like a hardcore kid. So Minor Threat was a little more. I just grabbed onto it more than Dead Kennedy.
Well, around the time when I was getting into Dead Kennedys a lot was when he was doing a lot of those spoken word CDs.
Mm.
And as a kid, an impressionable kid, I was like just like really into like his spoken word, and then that made me get really into the lyrics. So I was just really into the Dead Kennedys. The primary reason was lyrically.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, Jello's he's just he's a genius, you know.
Now, did Minor Threat? Did you kind of hit that wave of straight edge once you heard Minor Threat when you were a kid?
No, I've been a fuck up man since I was like I started smoking cigarettes when I was 13 and I still haven't quit. Like I was doing acid all the time when I was a teenager. I would smoke pot and listen to Minor Threat and think it was the greatest thing in the world. You know what I mean? Like it's really like it's a complete oxymoron, I guess, or whatever you call it. But yeah, just the straight edge thing just never got onto me because I just like getting fucked up too much, man. Yeah, sad.
Oh, I mean, like I said, I was smoking weed and listening to Earth Crisis and all those bands, Strife and stuff like that, and
I
I
love those two bands too. When I was like later on, a couple years later, when I got when like the Victory styles like started hitting North Bay and Northern Ontario because that was like pre-internet, right?
yeah
Well, not pre-internet, but pre when everybody had it.
yeah pretty much.
And yeah, that whole Victory like scene during that time, like oh yeah, I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, that was a huge wave. Like I always say, Dead Guy and Integrity like hit me, and Bloodlet. Those three bands in that Victory wave was like I gravitated more towards like the heavier side of stuff. I mean, I still like Snapcase and stuff like that. I was saying that I saw Snapcase with Drop Dead and Coming Correct in Connecticut at a club, which is like the weirdest lineup. But
I saw Snapcase one time in an arcade in Sudbury, Ontario, was Strung Out. That was kind of a weird one too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess they played with like whoever. Honestly, it's definitely. But like I said, I was gravitated towards the heavier victory bands and stuff like that. Um, so when you first started getting like you wanted to get into a band, how did that work out? Was Animal Ethics like the first band you were in, or were you in bands
Oh
before?
no. Man, it's been a journey, man. Like I think I was like 14 and I my stepdad pulled me out of hockey. I was like obsessed with playing hockey, and he pulled me out of hockey because my grades weren't good enough, and I was smoking in the bush and whatever. But I was I was hanging out with my buddy Steph, my brother, and he had a little band going on where it was him and then a drummer and then this girl singing. And that was just around the time too that we were like getting into Minor Threat, and Steph was getting into this all with me at the same time. And the girl just took a break, and he's like, "Yo, let's just," and he played like a heavy like punk riff, and I just jumped on the mic and started going crazy, and had just been completely addicted to it ever since. It was just like a natural like. As soon as I did it, I was like, I love this. So I that was a yeah, that was an awesome band. There's no recordings at all of that band or anything like that. They got lost in a house fire, unfortunately. Um, so after that, then I progressed into kind of like a new metalish type vibe, and I was in some new metal bands in North Bay, and I've done keyboards on a black metal album. I've played on like industrial albums. Uh, I've played on like pretty much every single thing that every genre you can think of, except for country or classical or anything like that related. But yeah, like anything I could scream on, I was doing. Um, yeah, and I was putting out like a lot of like self-release noise tapes, where it's just me making noise with on the keyboard with vocals, and I would make 10 copies and pass those out. And then I progressed into a screamo band where I was just playing keyboards and doing backup vocals. It was called Pink Slip, and that was in North Bay still, and we were going good. We're clipping away. We made some really, really awesome recordings. And then we started traveling a bit. We came to Montreal, and I'd never been to Montreal before in my life. And I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this is like in Canada. This is a 6 hour drive. Like, how come I've never been here before? I've been to Toronto like a million times, but I've never came this far, like to Montreal. And I was just like, fell in love with the city immediately. That band, Pink Slip, like it ended, like we kind of had like a cross country tour set up, and the shit went down, and we couldn't go on the tour. And then the label got pissed, and we split from the label, and just shit happened. So I finished college and moved to Montreal with like $1,000 in my pocket, and started up here. And then when I got here, I just started playing with random people too again. And am I just going on and on here? Because it's I've been around for a while.
I want to. Oh,
Okay, okay. So yeah, when I first moved here, the first day I went to the best record store in Montreal, Sound Central. It's on top of a place called Licks at that time. Is a really popular punk club that's not around anymore. But I went there and I became friends with the guy that was working there. And by the end of the week, we were in a band together it was called the Golden Sex Dancer. And that band I was playing keyboards and singing, and we had dancers and stuff, and which was basically guys wearing like American Apparel underwear doing like rock set type, or what do
yeah,
you call them there? The Rockettes,
yeah, the Rockettes, yeah.
just like wasted on vodka, doing stuff like that. Yeah. So I was doing a bunch of weird bands like that. That was like around the era, like it was like 2003, 2004. So like weird shit like that was really starting to like come around, like the 31G type shit and all that. And then I just in 2006, my mom passed away, and I was just kind of in a weird spot in life, and I didn't want to play in bands anymore. So I just decided to fucking start DJing hip hop. So I bought some techniques and I just taught myself how to DJ. And I ended up DJing for probably 8 years before I started playing hard shit again. Uh, and I DJed hundreds and hundreds of shows, opened up for like so many good like hip hop acts from like Boot Camp Click to Raekwon, Jedi Mind Tricks. If, like I got in a fist fight with fucking Ari the Rugged Man. Fuck that guy. He's a fucking poser. Um, but yeah, I did that, and then I'm keeping. This is such a long story. Sorry, man. And so after about 8 years, I was DJing because I DJed for a lot of MCs as well. That's how I got a lot of those opportunities because the MCs would open up for those bands, and then I'd just be their DJ.
Yep.
So I was hooked up with these guys called the Art Cons, which was a really, really good hip hop group with BK and Butter was their names. And they wanted to progress from like a three-piece to a live band behind them rather than a DJ. So I started playing bass in that. And me and BK have very similar backgrounds where, you know, we're like, we love both punk rock and hip hop. So when that came to an end, that project, BK's like, listen, man, let's just start a fucking punk band. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And he literally went to the store, bought his first guitar, and like the next day we had our first song recorded. Yeah, and we kind of took that was with Animal Ethics.
Yeah.
We kind of took the approach like, you know, let's not just add people in this band to add them, because if we're going to sit here and you're going to be a guitar player and I'm going to be a guitar player for the first time ever, and we're just going to play like basic shit and just go fucking crazy on stage, let's just get people that are good friends, whether they know how to play or not, and fucking put them in the band.
Yeah.
And do that. So our bass player, the same thing. He started playing music with the band. We hooked up with a drummer who actually knew what he was doing, though. That's kind of the one that you can't just go with whoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Animal Ethics. We did that for 5 or 6 years. We ended up having a lot of turnover for members besides me and BK, and it just became like kind of a hassle. And our careers were going and stuff like outside of the band, and yeah, so that came to an end. But I'm still like very, very good friends with BK. He's my brother. He sings for a power violence band now called Max Power, which are like a fucking superb band.
Nice. Now, Animal Ethics was in the beginning. It was called Animal Ethics Incorporated, correct? And
yeah,
cut the incorporated off. Is that how it went?
yeah. Well, basically, the first EP that we put out, we didn't have a drummer. It was just me and BK doing all the instruments, and we sampled the drums. So we just sampled the drums. So it was kind of an industrial thing.
Yeah, yeah.
We thought like throwing the incorporated, like it makes it look more industrial. I don't know what we were thinking, but it sounded cool at the time. And then we went with the other band, or not with the other band. When we filled up the band with other players and started doing live, we just dropped the ink off of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was going to ask about the industrial sound in the first thing you guys put out. Obviously, it switched a little. Like, it sounded different in Human Riots, and that must have been like programming the drums in the first thing you guys put out. Obviously, the band changed a little bit as you guys went further.
Yeah. Well, the Human Riots album has it's a real drummer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now was Pink Slip the first band you like played shows with, or were you playing shows way before that too?
Oh, I've been playing shows since I was 14, man. The first show I ever played with Steph and our good old drummer Chris, who we used to call him Puke Butterfingers because he would get so nervous he'd puke before every gig and slip all over the place with his drumsticks. Love that guy too. But the first gig we played, man, this is hilarious. We're like, oh yeah, man, we got this like Minor Threat sound. We're just fucking, we're the best, And we got this gig at a pancake breakfast after church got out on on Sunday in like 2 in the afternoon or whatever.
Yeah.
We go on there, bro, and there's like 100 people, all old people, all church going people, and like we had songs that was like, "Yo, jocks fucking suck," and like shit like that, and like it. By the end of the first song, it was cleared right out, and I was just like, "Wow, that's kind of what I wanted to happen." Like that, it was awesome, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um,
It reminds
and
me.
ever since then, I've been trying to disturb people with my music and make them leave.
It reminds me. When I was in a band called High School Sweethearts, and one of our first shows we played at a place called Club 125 in Bradford, Massachusetts. And somehow the guitar player was just like, "Hey, you got us a show or whatever." So like, obviously we opened and we're like screaming and going wild, and everybody was just like, like in shock. Everybody started, walking out, and then the next band that came on was like a Black Crowes cover band, and then all you see all these like, rednecks being like, yeah, like, and we're like, wow, we played the wrong show for our first, like, I think it was like our second show, and it was it was
back
interesting.
back then, pissing people off was like awesome though, eh? Like
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, definitely. Now, after Animal Ethics, I want to talk about Angles a little bit. When I listen to Angles, man, that shit like is so heavy and so like raw and good, man. Like, I really like that album like a lot.
Thanks, man.
Lysergic Eucharist is fucking really really good. Was that the band that you kind of got into right after Animal Ethics?
No, I was in it pretty much simultaneously.
Really?
Um, Angles. This is another doozy of a fucking weird story, man. Angles. I remember on the last podcast I was talking about my friend Harper, who we played that noise show with the LSD and the McDonald's containers and yada yada. Okay, that guy. He's like a fucking unreal drummer. He's like an amazing drummer. So we started a band as like an it's kind of like an art thing too, I guess. I don't know, but like it was called Hell's Angles. That's what it was called at the start. And basically our intention was just to freestyle and not going in with a plan and just fucking go crazy and flip shit over and try to get our objective was to get banned from every place that we played. That, for fun.
Yeah.
I told you I like to piss people off. Um, so yeah, but we recorded like 35 songs and it's like a 13 minutes long or something on that one. And fucking dude, we didn't have a guitar player. It was just me on vocals and the drummer. So we're like, you know what? You know what'd be cool? Why don't we just put an ad on Craigslist for a metal guitar player and get him to show up to the recording and just be like, yo, just play the fucking craziest shit you ever played in your life. So this fucking guy shows up, man. His name was Tom, which is also my name, my real name. And he's like 15 years older than us. He's wearing bell bottoms. He's got like Led Zeppelin hair and shit. I picture him in velour, but I don't think he really was. But in my head, he was. And he shows up in his minivan. It's filled with carpets in the back because he's a carpet salesman. And this guy just starts going off. And he was actually he was like, really? This is what you guys are doing? Okay, cool. Let's do it. I have a day to spend. So we did that, and that's fucking funny, man. And then we actually got the guy maybe like a year later to do the same thing, and we called the guy up and we're like, yeah, we have a show on Friday. Just show up to the show and fucking play whatever. So dumb, but it was funny to us, man. So we did a couple things like that, and then like our online like accounts, man, was just getting fucking harassed by people who obviously thought we were Hell's Angels. They were misreading it. Death threats we were getting, like people asking us to like hide them out if we can get things for them, like all this dumb shit from like really stupid people who just were probably wasted out of their mind, put the numbers, the letters in wrong, and were like sending it. It was ridiculous, and we were getting fucking all these like random message from like religious zealots, like specifically Islamic, about that there's like the angles in hell is like I guess some shit that's like really bad and like we're we're all fucked and infidels over it. And I don't know. It was all fucking weird shit, man. So we're like, you know what? Let's just fucking cut off the hells. This is just ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
it's stupid. And then like well, actually, before we did that, Sean, who's the guitar player in Cell Press,
Mm.
the brains of Cell Press, um, he was like, hey, you know what? I'll join this band with you guys. Like, you don't have a guitar player right now because we weren't just gonna keep calling back that guy.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, man, like, because Sean is just the most talented guy like I've ever met probably in my life. And I was like, wow, this guy wants to be in a band with us? Like, fuck yes, man. So we kind of kept the same ethic for that recording where like I freestyled the vocals, it was all one take, and I just made it up as I went along.
Yeah.
I put a bunch of markers with a bunch of words and I put them around me, and I just was like, and that fucking album took me like 15 minutes to record.
Wow. No shit.
Yeah,
But
isn't that crazy?
but doing that, man, that album sounds so goddamn good. You know what I mean? Like as you're talking about it, I listened to it a bunch of times, and I was like, that shit is so good though. Like whatever you did, even if you were reading, you know, words off paper, just jumbling it all up, man, it works. Like it definitely works.
Thanks, man.
Um,
It was kind of like I think that sometimes with especially punk and hardcore and metal music, sometimes when you overproduce it and you get far away from what the original jam was, you might lose some of the stuff. So it's kind of like an expression on that too, where it's just like this is boom. Like when you're just having like a really good jam and everybody's locked in, there's just that magic there. But then you go back the next time, oh, I'll add this here, oh, I'll add that there. That was just like the pure everybody on the same vibe, having a good jam day.
yeah, yeah.
That's what that EP was.
Yeah, I mean, we used to when high school sweethearts, we would, you know, make a new song, and I would have like half the lyrics down, and then you know, my buddy Steve that played guitar was like, "All right, we got a show," and then I'm like, "Shit, dude, I don't have like all the lyrics," and he's just like, "Ah, fuck it, just like yell whatever."
Yeah,
It's
man.
like a lot of the new songs that we played, obviously we worked it out afterwards, but like I must have sang random lyrics like a bunch of times on the shows we were throwing out new songs playing live. So
Yeah, for sure. Us, even like we have some new songs for Cell Press, and if we play them live before we go to the studio, there's going to be a lot of that too because like the with this band, it's not like I try to like refine the shit the way I want it to. Like I do spend time producing it.
yeah,
But like at shows and stuff, that's where you work out all the kinks and stuff too, right? Like
yeah, definitely.
and
Now,
see what you can handle live as well, like you
yeah,
know, so that you're not overdoing it with that,
yeah,
which
true.
is something I tend to do.
Yeah, I used to too. um, now, now was Lysergic Eucharist the only thing that is out on the internet by Angles, or is there more that you can hear?
The Hell's Angels album was called Child Eater, and it was online. I don't know what happened to it. I'll have to ask Harper about that. Maybe he knows. I think he made the Bandcamp account. But I was looking forward to send it to you just to because I knew we were going to probably talk about it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't even have a copy of it, man.
Yeah,
With the fucking bell bottom guy there.
yeah, yeah. I would have loved to hear that.
Trust me, Sean is a million times better of a guitar player than that guy, though.
um, yeah, I used to do kind of the same thing that you were saying with keyboards and stuff like that. I did a self-produced like keyboard thing where I was screaming called in the poison belly of a dead lamb, I called it. And it was just me playing keyboards and, you know, screaming like crazy shit. And of course I lost the recording. I only had like maybe a 25-minute recording. And of course I lost it. That was probably maybe 20 years ago I did that. But it's like I made shirts with like a rooster on a weather vane type shit. And it was like, but like I said, I hate losing recordings of shit that.
Oh, I know, man.
Drives
I've
me.
lost so many, man. Like it's the older you get, you're just like, fuck, man. Like, because even like the animal ethics thing, I didn't listen to that. I haven't listened to that in years. And I listened to it this week just to get ready. And I was like, damn, man, like, fuck, that was some fun times, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah.
Now, does Pink Slips have anything that you can find online?
I don't think we have anything online. Uh, I'm not sure.
I know sometimes
Oh,
you can find stuff on YouTube or whatever as well.
well, we put out a DVD, but I don't know if that ever made it to YouTube. Probably a good idea. Yeah, because we're doing a lot of crazy shit back then. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one, man.
Yeah, no. Now let's talk about Cell Press. I just want to say the two new songs that are on that 5 band split that just came out are fucking so good. Reminds me, kind of brings me back to like late '90s with like Dead Guy and Botch, like sound with like a new age like flair too. You know what I mean? It brings me back a little bit. You don't. It's kind of rare nowadays to hear bands like that, and it was refreshing for me to hear Cell Press. I've been pushing you guys ever since I heard the first thing, the cassette that you guys put out. I've been pushing it to everybody like that hasn't heard you guys. I'm like, oh,
Thanks, man.
I'll send you a link. So
I
I just
appreciate that so much, man. That's fucking cool, dude. You and Ron have both been like our American champions, you know, like you two are the biggest guys in the United States that have been like pushing us, man, and I appreciate that so much, man.
Well, no problem. Like I said, I love listening to Cell Press. It's like I said, I'm just chomping at the bit for more Cell Press songs. I mean,
Oh, it's coming. It's fucking coming. Oh
like
yeah.
I said, that the two songs that you guys just put out is just like, I'm like, oh damn, I want more of that shit. You must be proud of those two songs, obviously, and the 5 band split that came out. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know it just came out probably like, is it like a month and a half?
Yeah, it came out about a month ago. We got some colored vinyl, we got some blue stuff, and then there's one that comes in smoky too. And yeah, that's fucking. It's I'm really stoked on doing that because like all those guys are like really good friends of ours. Some of them I've never met personally, and they're friends with because Sean and Joey from Cell Press, our guitar player and bass player, they have another band called the Great Sabatini, which are a fucking really, really, really good band. And it's some of their friends that they've met through that scene from touring and stuff out east. But Grabert, I've known personally those guys since I lived in North Bay. They used to be in a band called Tugnut, and they would come to North Bay all the time. And it's I think it's just so cool that after like 20 years, like I was fucking chilling with those guys in North Bay, and now we're making a record together. That's it's
Yeah,
so cool to me, man.
yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think all the bands sound awesome on it. I think Scott Miller did a fucking really sick job making those segues and making everything fluid together. Yeah, man, I can't say enough about that. Everybody rules on that.
Yeah. Now, how did Cell Press um, start? How did you guys like create Cell Press?
Well, Cell Press, like me and Sean, we since we've been doing the Angle stuff for 5 or 6 years, we'd only play maybe one show a year. Like we kept it really reserved, but we've always talked about creating a band together, that like a serious band, um, and like having like a band that's not just playing one show a year and making an EP every whatever years. And we talked about it for years and years and years. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And I was busy in Animal Ethics. He was super busy in Sabatini. Like they've toured all over all the states and Europe and all that. Like they were a very busy band. And we just never got the opportunity. And then Sean was jamming with Mark, our drummer, who I never met before Cell Press, and they had a thing going on, and they just invited me to come jam with them, and it just like kicked off right from there. It was just instant chemistry, and Mark became like instantly one of my best friends. He's an amazing drummer and an amazing guy, and dude, I just got so lucky to get with this band because if it wasn't for them, I'd probably be completely inactive right now. Like, you know?
Now, what influences like band wise do you guys have with Cell Press?
It's all different, man. Like, we all listen to like a lot of different shit, man. Um, like I listen to a lot of hip hop, and I listen to a lot of oldies and stuff. I've always been obsessed with like Roy Orbison and CCR and shit like that.
Yep.
I listen to heavy music still too, but like primarily it's like hip hop and like older stuff. Those guys are really into like everything under the sun too. Heavy, excuse me. Um, that burp didn't come out too loud on camera, did it?
Oh, no.
Okay, good. Sounded loud in my headphones. Um, but yeah, just like everything under the sun, man. Like we don't want to like be limited to be like anything, man. Like if we want to put out a fucking electronic house album next, like we want to be able to, and the people won't be like shocked by it. It's just like, oh, there's South Press switching up their thing, doing their thing. Like
Yeah.
obviously we're gonna have a continuity, but and it's not gonna be like that, but like house music. But we're just like whatever we feel, whatever we're feeling at the time, like that's what we're inspired by, man. There's not like one band that really like we try to mold ourselves after or anything like that.
Yeah. Now, is that kind of like how the B side of the ambient like noise track that kind of was the thought process of where you guys were just gonna, do whatever the hell you wanted to do?
Yeah, exactly, man. A lot of the reviews of that record came in, and they were like, "Yeah, love the four songs, but I don't know what the fuck they were thinking on that." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, cool, fucking right." But yeah, we all really like doing like ambient experimental music and noise and shit like that. It's just a fun thing to do. Like we just freestyled that track. It started with the drums, and then basically the theme was that you can only hear the track of the recording that was recorded previously to you. So we started with the drums, and then we added the guitar, and then I think we added some piano, but the piano could only listen to the guitar, and then the next one was the bass, and the bass could only listen to the piano, and kind of like that.
Yeah.
That's how we layered it, and then just like put it all together at the end.
Yeah. That's
Um, but it's just for fun, man, because it's like just a really fun thing to do. We had the time in the studio. Um, like that was my vocal day, and I just banged out the vocals in the morning, and then we did that in the afternoon type thing.
Now, what year did you guys start this band? What year was it?
2019.
2019.
Hmm.
And how many shows did you guys get to play as Cell Press?
So brutal, man. I think we've only played 3 shows, man.
3 shows.
Yeah, which is I love playing shows, and I really love being in this band, and I love like the energy these guys bring on stage, and it's just such a bummer, man. I can't fucking wait to get ripping, man. Like,
Now, when do you,
yeah.
when's Montreal supposed to like open up for things like that? You know what I mean, like shows and stuff like that. I know it's opening up down here. There's been a bunch of shows actually. Not really in my area per se, but like all over America. Obviously, there's been like a bunch of shows. When is it going to start opening up there? Do you think?
I'm not quite sure what the date is yet, but I think that they're waiting to till it's like 75% vaccination or something.
Mm.
So everybody's got their second dose, like 75%. I think that's what it is, but can't be. I'm not certain about it. We don't have anything booked yet. I know we're waiting till like till
Yeah.
shit is 100%.
Yeah.
Because like when we play, there's a lot of fluids that are going to be spilling.
Yeah. Planning on a U.S. tour too, as well, like in the future.
I would love to do it, man. I would absolutely love to do it. I haven't even stepped foot in the United States in over 10 years. So I would love to do that, yeah, but there's no plans on it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, where was the last place you went in the United States 10 years ago? Where did you go?
New York, New York City. Yeah, I went to a wedding there. And the time before that was Rock the Bells, like 2004 or 2005 or 6 or something,
Yeah.
when Wu-Tang and Rage Against the Machine played, and Public Enemy and EPMD and MF Doom and
Yeah.
all those guys.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Damn, that is good. I saw Rage and Wu Tang, but just them. It wasn't at Rock the Bells. It was just you know how they did that little tour, just with
Yeah.
those two acts. I saw that. That was, but I think I'm trying to think who wasn't there for Wu Tang. I think that was right when Old
Old
Dirt.
Dirty.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
just had passed away, I think. Yeah, so he wasn't there. And there might have been one other guy that didn't show up when I saw him then, but I'm not sure.
It's hard to keep that many guys around, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
to, especially when everybody's already like rich and got families, et cetera, you know?
yeah. I saw them just a little while ago. I think it was maybe 4 years ago. I saw them in Lowell, Massachusetts, in like a big auditorium, and young Dirty Bastard did Old Dirty Bastard
Oh, that's
vocals.
cool.
That was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
Actually, I was watching, I don't know what episode it was because I watched several of your episodes in the last couple weeks, on YouTube. It was just, it's a lot easier to manage than Instagram because I always usually listen to like 30 minutes at a time or whatever.
Yeah,
But you're talking about No Said Date was like one of your favorites. I
yeah.
forget who. Yo, that album, I have that on vinyl, man. I have it on CD too. I love that album. That's
Yeah,
a good one,
dude,
man.
Master Killer. Like when I saw him up here in New Hampshire, I was lucky enough to like a little while ago to see him in New Hampshire, and he did a bunch of songs off that, and I was pumped.
Oh, sick.
Oh, it was so good. Like I said, that album is so good to me, and it's underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it. So
It's true. It's true, man.
now, speaking of the United States, have you played shows in the United States at all, or no?
Personally, I've never ever played even one show in the United States. The rest of the guys have played like many, like they've toured there several times, and our drummer toured there several times. Our drummer has other bands that are even based in New York, I think, like upstate New York. I can't think of it right now, like his past bands, but yeah, they've all done it, but I've never had the chance to, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now I wanted to ask you too. Screamo started coming in, maybe like I think I heard it like mid 2000s probably. Now, did you hit that wave of like late 90s, early 2000s screamo? Like, because me and Ron always talk about it. We say, it's just hardcore to us. I never heard that term until all the big bands had already, broken up and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, the legends of screamo are, Orchid and Reversal of Man and You and I and stuff like that. But it was always just hardcore, just a different kind of hardcore. Um, did you get caught up in that wave? And when was the first time you heard the word screamo?
Oh God, it was probably around the same time as you, man. Because like, or no, actually, probably when I moved to Montreal in 2003 is probably when I heard it because I was hanging out with a lot of like super like hardcore nerds and stuff like that. So yeah, probably 2003. I can say that pretty confidently.
Now,
But living in Northern Ontario, though, I don't think I ever heard that. No.
yeah, did you get caught up in that wave of screamo bands back then?
What do you mean caught up? Like, did I like it or?
Because it kind of turned my head. Like I was into like the tough guy, not tough guy, but like the hardcore where like there's moshing going on, spin kicks, like back fists, jumping on people for fun, smashing into them, trying to. Uh,
That was never my thing, man. Like, the whole like doing the fucking stomping and shit. Like, I think that was more of an American thing because you'd only see that at certain shows in Canada that were like specifically those like really hardcore bands of that like specific.
yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I love so much stuff like you know when screamo like some of the bands you mentioned when I was listening to them, I was also listening to like a lot of black metal too, like you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
And like Carcass is one of my favorite all-time bands. So and that was like around the time that I was like really into them. Um, so yeah, man. I I don't know. I've never really just been like yeah. I don't think I was like too much on the train, but I liked a lot of the bands for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I asked because, like I said, for me, my background is like I was more of the more stuff, and then when I went to a show and I saw Seisha and a bunch of bands like that, Portrait and stuff like that, and it changed my mind of like thinking. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I don't have to like, you know, punch somebody or charge at him like a football player and take him down. You know what I mean? It was kind of my mindset changed into like, I was like, oh shit, this music is like different and still like super aggressive, and it kind of just changed my mindset. And that's like when I kind of took a right turn, and I just started listening to all those kind of bands. And just like you too, I was still listening to, I'm a huge '80s new wave guy. I love
Yeah,
Motown.
love that shit.
Motown classics. I'm a huge hip hop guy. I mean, you look at my page, I'm a huge hip hop guy.
Yeah.
So I always had my hands in all that stuff too as well. But like I said, screamo kind of changed my mindset, and I kind of stopped going into the pit and doing like stupid shit and stuff like that. So I just had to
Let,
ask, and I also had to
let me ask you. Let me ask you a question that I've been waiting to ask you.
shoot.
I watched the like I love New Day Rising, Spread the Disease, and all that back then. I watched the Dave Bushmeyer. That's his name, right? Dave Bush.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Excellent interview, by the way. I fucking love that guy, man. I think he's so cool. But you were asking him like, hey, which of these bands would ever get back together? And he's like, pretty much like, no, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. This band, never, no chance. This, it's like maybe this, and then like New Day Rising, they're getting back together, man.
Yeah, I know.
How much did you have to do with that, bro?
I don't know. I'm not going to take credit for it, but I was definitely like, man, I would love to see that. And we still, DM each other back and forth. And he sent me like a little blurb of like them practicing. And dude, that sounds good, man.
Wow, you're lucky, man.
I can't wait to hear it.
That's cool.
Dave's a great guy.
Yeah,
Huge fan of those bands that he was in. So it's just
me too, man.
it was just like the timing was right too. Like I had just talked to him like a little bit before they started deciding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I listened to that podcast this week, and then I went and I followed him on Instagram, and then I saw that he put a post about that, and I'm like, wait a second, they were just talking about that, like in that. Yeah, that's I think that's so cool, man. They
Yeah.
definitely need to put a little thank you to Hal Capone in their liner notes for the new album.
Well, I know he was saying the singer was kind of apprehensive about doing it, and he was like, "Nah, I
Yeah,
don't think it's gonna happen." And then somehow the singer changed his mind, and now they're full force, I guess. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. He's a great guy. He's always been in like he's got his hands in like all kinds of music and art and stuff like that. It's just like a great guy, man.
a lot of the guys that you interview from like the Toronto scene and that, uh, like they were like fucking like legends to me, man. When I was like up, because I was living 4 hours north, right?
Yeah,
And I didn't know any of them. I wasn't part of the scene or anything like that. We had our own thing going on, but they were just like to me like wow. And then like a lot of the interviews that I've heard you and Ron as well have with these guys, I'm just like wow, these guys are so like down to earth and like humble about like they have no idea like there was kids in North Bay that were just like idolizing them. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's yeah. I'm loving those interviews, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, Chris Colahan, I had mentioned Cell Press to him, and I'm pretty sure I sent him the cassette on Bandcamp, like the link to it. So like like I
That's
said,
cool,
I love
man.
talking about new bands and talking to older guys about newer stuff. I always try to promote what I like and what I liked back then, and I just try to bridge the gap. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't listen to heavy music anymore, and I kind of try to just bridge the gap. Like it might just resonate with somebody, something new and heavy that not listening to heavy bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's weird too when he was because Chris Collin's probably like the number one guy out of all those guys that I thought was just the man. You know what I mean? But he brought up on your podcast with him Lou from the Swarm, and that's a guy I actually do know. And it's funny, man, because it was like 2005, I think I was moving into a new apartment, and it was like this like skater complex type thing where it was all skaters and musicians. And I'm moving in like some heavy shit, and this guy with like no shirts and swim trunks and no shoes comes down the stairs. He's like, "Hey man, let me help you out." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Who the fuck offers a stranger to
Yeah, yeah,
help move them and spends like hours helping them move upstairs like 3 flights?"
yeah,
And we got to know each other holding stuff going up the stairs, and like he asked me what I was into, and I told him, and I even brought up the Swarm, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I was in that band." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're just the guy who like just started helping me move randomly." You know what I mean? Um, yeah, he's like, yeah, man, I came from like New England, and like I went to high school with all the guys from Bain and Converge and Caven and all that whole scene.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is unreal, man. And he's like, I guess he saw my face. I was like, come on, man, like, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I'm on the cover of one of the Bain albums. I'm like, I have all the Bain albums. What are you talking? Which one?
Yeah.
So sure enough, I forget what the one is called, but it's got like a blurry thing on the front. But on the inside, when you take the CD out, there's a picture of guys playing cards at the table.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, that's Lou right there, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like this guy that just did the nicest thing in the world, randomly helping me out, and he turns out he's like, yeah, and we lived across the hall from each other for like 3 or 4 years and became good friends over that time. I haven't talked to him in years now because they moved out of the city, but yeah, man, that's when he brought up Lou's name, I was like, fucking Lou, man, oh my god, that's
That's
crazy.
that's a wild story. Wasn't
Yeah, it is.
didn't Lou play in the band called Barrett down here?
I'm not even sure.
I think he
I'm not
was.
even sure.
Zach from Bain uh, was in that band as well. I'm pretty sure that he played in a band called Barrett. If you've never heard Barrett, I can send you the link of their full length. It's fucking so good.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like Lou, he's a very, very humble guy. He doesn't talk about himself. The only reason he was like brought that up is because I was like naming bands I like. He's like, oh yeah, I know those guys are. Yeah, I was in that band
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the Swarm and but he was not a. He's a very quiet guy, and he never ever toots his own horn about things that he's done. So yeah, that's probably why I never heard of that. If that's the case, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'll look. I'm pretty sure. I'm like probably 90% sure it was in Barrett. And I'll send you the link after we're done talking. Um,
Sweet.
I want to talk about Cell Press one more time. What do you guys have in the future? How many songs? Like, are you working on new songs? If you are, how many songs you guys have now? And what are you going to release? Do you have any plans of releasing anything soon?
Well, we got right now we have 4 new songs. They're going to be continuously worked on until we do record them. Usually we're probably going to demo them like 2 times before we go to the real studio. But like we're just working on, writing and getting on that as soon as possible because like everything that we've released so far was already recorded pre-pandemic and we kind of tapered it out to last through the pandemic. And now we're out of material, so we definitely need to get back to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't know like what format or anything like that. We haven't discussed that, but we're just focused on writing and getting that shit going. But the other guys are busy too. Like he owns a tattoo parlor or co-owns a parlor, and he's a very busy tattoo artist. And he has a band with his wife, which are writing an album right now as well. They're just finishing it up called Sweetheart Grip. It's acoustic husband and wife stuff, and it's like really, really beautiful music. They do a lot of covers.
Yeah.
And him and Joey are also working on new Great Sabatini stuff. So we jam right now. We're doing it like once a week, and we're just like working on it. Now the hockey season's done, I'm able to like show up to jams and actually work on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just whatever happens, man. Take it day by day, carpe diem.
Yeah. Now, do you have your hand in any other bands right now, or is Cell Press just your one thing that you're working on right now?
I've been talking to Harper, like the drummer from Angles, and the guy I did all that other crazy shit with.
Mm-hmm.
He just moved back to Montreal about a month ago. And we've been talking about doing some noise stuff together, maybe put out a tape or something, and just have fun.
Nice.
Music to me is all about fun, man. Like that's why I have a job, and I don't ever expect to quit my job or even work part time. Like music, I work so I can play music that I want to play, and that I don't give a fuck if anybody likes it or not. At the
Yep.
end of the day, I really enjoy that I love it that you guys like it too. Like I'm not like that, but I don't make it with any intention like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to ask you too. I'm a big Black Ships fan. From Montreal. They were from Montreal. Did you ever play with Black Ships?
what era were they in? Like they were in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was like early 2000, mid 2000, maybe 2000. I don't know if when they started. Maybe 2004 to 2007, maybe eight.
I think I played with them with the Golden Sex Dancer, that band. Um, I think I played a show with them then, but I can't remember. Dude, I have problems, man. Like I get fucked up so much. Like sometimes I don't remember shit, especially when I'm just in the audience, you know? Like with Animal Ethics, man, I was like doing cocaine on stage and being a fool like that.
Yeah,
Like I've just done so much dumb shit that I forget a lot of like important details. Um, and I own it, man. Like, you know,
yeah, yeah. Now,
I don't do that anymore. Like I'm done with drugs now, but like, well,
yeah,
except for weed. How can I live without weed? But, but, yeah, I'm done with that shit. But like in the past, I've just been a maniac, man. And
yeah, yeah. I used
yeah,
to smoke a ton of weed. Obviously, I did. I hit like straight edge too in my 20s where I didn't do anything. But then I smoked like a ton of weed, and then it was like I started getting crazy like anxiety attacks every time I smoked, and to the point where it was like physically like anxiety attacks. I'd lose control of my legs, like my neck would tighten up. I couldn't breathe, and I had been smoking for, we're talking like 15 years straight. And then all of a sudden, it was just like all these anxiety attacks happened, and I stopped cold turkey because it's every time I did it, it wasn't enjoyable to me. It was like I was getting these crazy
that's.
attacks. So
I wish that would happen to me, man. I wish. Fuck, it would save me so much money.
I'm gonna say that saved me a lot of money, and I haven't smoked for maybe 16 years now. So um, it was crazy, but definitely if I'd probably still be smoking if it didn't do that to me. But I'm just throwing that out there. You know what I mean?
Definitely a good reason to quit, man. 100%. I know like a lot of people have the same thing. They hit a certain age and it just gives them, they don't enjoy it at all, man. So I definitely understand that. Yeah.
Um, Before we do the rapid fire, I have to ask, what's the story with you and RA the Rugged Man? I would love to hear the story real
Oh my God.
quick, if you could just.
Fucking, this guy is a fucking poser, man. I gotta grab another beer for this. This guy, okay, he hired me to be his DJ for a show in Montreal at this place called Fufun Electrique. It's a big punk bar here. And he didn't show up or he didn't send me his tracks in advance. He didn't like he basically showed up with a fucking CDR and told me to bring my CDJ fucking player thing.
Yeah,
And then I would just scratch with a vinyl on the side. Um, so we get about 6 songs into the set, like I'm DJing for him,
yeah,
and he turns around, he's like, and before this, okay, I gotta fucking put this all in. Okay, before the thing, he comes in like all this fucking like super nice clothes and shit like that, and he comes in with a duffel bag, and then he fucking puts on like his shitty clothes to play the character, and this fucking guy, about 5 or 6 songs into the set, he turns around and is like, "Yo, DJ, play my love song." I'm like, "Okay, this is like part of the thing." I'm like, da, 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 boom, into the beat, the next beat, because it's all. He told me before, everything's the set list is perfect on the CD
yeah,
that he gave me.
yeah,
Oh, you're pissing me off, Hal, asking this question. And fucking, so he's like, "Play my fucking love song." I play it. He fucking slams his hand down on my fucking CD turntable, and he's like, "I said my fucking love song." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." The guy fucked up burning it.
yeah,
Skip to the next song, bump a bump, boom, into the beat. Does the same thing again, slams it down, like almost breaks my fucking thing. And then he's like, "I'm play my fucking love song," and I was so fucking mad.
mm,
And I took the mic. I'm like, "Play your own fucking love song." And he fucking does a WWE like slap to me, make it look like he slaps me in the fucking face
yeah, yeah,
on stage in front of a crowd.
yeah,
Okay, I was fucking mad, man, and I didn't jump him there or anything. I just was like, I grabbed the mic. I was like, "Fuck you, go fuck yourself," and I just walked off stage.
yeah,
Went backstage, broke a bunch of bottles and shit. And I didn't end up actually fighting him because I was waiting for that fucking guy, and he fucking like escaped out of there like as soon as the set was done because I was standing there on the fucking side of the backstage staring at him, waiting for that fucking guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's
I really liked him before that, man. I
yeah,
really liked him. But then he like if we're gonna do an acting thing, man, you gotta tell me we're doing an acting thing. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
Like
Yeah. I hear you, man. I like
and
those.
all the reviews of the show, like they're all talking about it that happened and oh, I was so pissed about it, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to ask, man. I just had to ask. I've seen him. I've seen him a couple times live too, and I can see where like he gets his like clothes on and stuff like that. I like Ra. The artist, the person, like he
He's a
yeah.
jerk.
So
I really did like his music before that, but obviously that I tainted his music, and whenever I see his face now, I'm just like, fuck that guy. Like
yeah, definitely
he's
would.
just he's mean. He's a son of a bitch. Like
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm gonna start the rapid fire like I always do. You've heard it probably a bunch. My first question: favorite New England punk hardcore band all time for you?
You know what? I've been thinking about this all week because like everybody's always says the same thing, but I have to say it, man. Converge, dude. I have to say it. Sorry.
Yeah,
At that time in my life, petitioning the empty sky, When Forever Comes Crashing, and Jane Doe, those three albums blew my mind so much that I can't not admit it, no matter how cliche that sounds to somebody from that area.
yeah,
Um, like when we in Montreal hear people say, "Oh, my favorite band is Arcade Fire" or something, we all roll our eyes. Well,
yeah,
it's probably something similar to that, but like those three albums when they came out, just especially like when they dropped Jane Doe, man, like that blew everybody's fucking top off. Like nobody could believe that just happened, you know?
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Um,
I agree. Like I always say, I think like probably Daughters is up there for me. Like probably number one for me, and then Converge and like Orchid up there too for me too. So
I
those.
love Daughters too. Yeah,
Oh,
they were so good live. I've seen them several times too. Like,
did,
yeah,
did you get to see them when they were like a chaotic band back in the day?
yeah, yeah. He had like the singer Lex Marshall.
Yeah.
That's his name, right?
Yep, Lex. Yeah.
Yeah. He he had like he was wearing like a cowboy hat, and I don't know if it was real cocaine, but he had like white shit all over his face that looked like he was sniffing all his cocaine, and he's jumping. Yeah, it was fucking amazing, man. I
Mm.
don't even remember who else played that show because they were just like they just dominated the whole thing so much.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's like something that's kind of like an approach I take to shows too, because whenever I see that, I never fucking forget it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So that's why I when I play too, man, I try to like leave like wanting to barf and just go to bed, you know?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Somebody said real cocaine.
I don't know if it was real or not. What's up, Chris?
Lex definitely had like drug and alcohol problems back then, but now that
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah. So I mean, I've seen
Because
him.
it was just so like unreal, you know what I mean? I didn't know if it was like an act or not because it was just like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think I was lucky enough to see him maybe I don't know, maybe 11 times, and I saw as the Sunsets too. Their older band like a
Yeah,
handful of times too, which the
so good.
that's too. Um, all right, so I digress. I'll keep going. What was the first punk hardcore show you attended?
First one I ever went to was a band from Hamilton, I think they're from, called Armed and Hammered. And they're just like a like they play all the time with like Dayglow Abortions, like that type of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, and then a local band that opened up for them called the Plug Uglies, which is still one of the best like band names I've ever heard in my life. Like they're named after some like 1800s British gang or something like that, the Plug Uglies. And yeah, that was the first one I went to, and I was a little kid, and I was smoking cigarettes in the bar, and I thought it was so cool, and yeah, that changed my life, man, that night for sure.
yeah. It's always like the first shows are always the ones that definitely like it changes you. You know what I mean? You go to a hardcore punk show and you're like, I don't know, it just up, up, up.
Yeah,
switch flips and you're like, shit, like I want to do this, or I want to like keep going to these shows any chance I can get. Definitely.
Yeah.
My next question: all-time favorite punk hardcore show you played?
Jeez, man. I thought about that this week too, and like it brings me back to like I think 1999 or 2000. I was in this band called Inner Growth in North Bay, and we played a show in Sudbury on I think it was Halloween or Devil's Night or something. And I think in North Bay that we used to do, like our scene was tight, man. Like we were tight. Whenever, if there was like every year for Warped Tour, we would fucking rent a school bus all together and we would all like party all the way down to Toronto and go to Warped Tour together on a school bus.
Yeah.
And it was like that with the band too. Like if we're playing like 2 hours away, everybody chips in $10 and we rent a school bus and we fucking drink and party the whole way there with the band. That way we didn't need a van either.
Yeah.
And we just show up with 30 of our friends on a school bus. I don't know how they would rented school buses to us, man. I still don't understand to this day because we were like smoking joints and shit on them. Like, I don't understand. But that happened. So we went to the show in Sudbury and with the Inner Growth, and we just fucking ripped the place apart, man. Like, it was fucking chaos, man. There's, I don't know, maybe 200 people there.
Yeah.
And like all the shit got broken, and then it became like our group of friends versus like 150 other people, and like all this like fighting broke out, and it ended up with like us like running onto the school bus, all of us, and people rocking the school bus as we're fucking like trying to get out of there, and the school bus driver just being like, "What the fuck is going on right now?" You know? But just the actual show and like everybody was on our side when we were playing, and then it just like devolved throughout the night.
Yeah.
That show is just one that stands out in my memory. There's a shitload of other ones too, where just like diving into drum sets and almost getting impaled and just like having a blast.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a great one, definitely.
yeah,
I
that was
don't know if
fun.
you could rent a school bus in the States and get away with smoking joints and drinking all the way down there. I don't think that. I don't know. That's
Like 15 to 18-year-olds,
yeah, it's crazy.
like you know,
That's
yeah.
that's wild. All right, my next question: all-time favorite punk hardcore show you attended but you didn't play, that you went and saw like a band that blew you away.
There's been so many of them, man.
Give me two. Give me two.
Okay. The first time when I first moved to Montreal, I was like, I didn't know anybody here, and I just was going to shows all the time by myself. When I first moved here, I went to see like the first week or the second week, I went to go see Dillinger Escape Plan was playing with Every Time I Die, The Locust, and Das Oath.
Wow.
And I was like really into Das Oath then too, man. Like,
Mm.
you know. And fucking the guy from Das Oath like jumped and like was hanging from the fucking air conditioner and he was swinging and the fucking thing fell. And it was the first time and the last time I've ever seen this where we were talking before all these different versions of moshing with the punching and the kicking and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
There was like guys in the crowd going in circles, putting their fucking fingers down their throats and puking like bulimic style. Like it was like a thing that they were doing. Like
Yeah.
it was like happening throughout the crowd, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I still don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah.
But like during Das Oath's set, and yeah, I'll never forget that just because I was such a fresh face in the city, like open eyes coming from a town of 65,000 people,
Yeah.
and just being like, wow, you know?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and there's so many other times where I've just seen bands that were like just lucky to see them in a small venue and stuff like that. Uh, I'm obsessed with Cool Keith. Obsessed with Cool Keith. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I got to see him live in 2004, and he came out and he brought fried chicken for the whole audience, and he was like giving out porno magazines and shit like that. And that was one of the craziest shows I ever seen. And the guy that got me into Cool Keith too that was the last time I ever saw him at that show, because he passed away I think a year after that. But just like that whole everything together was like a
Yeah,
very very memorable. Even though it's not punk or hardcore, that really really is a good memory. You
yeah.
know.
That's cool, definitely. Oh, minus, obviously minus the guy passing away, but
Yeah.
uh, all right. Like I always say, I'm a huge movie guy. I watch movies all the time. What was the last movie you watched?
I watched a movie this morning because I got up really early. I watched the Sicario Day of the Soldata, the second Sicario movie,
Yeah,
where
like,
it's about terrorism and cartels like bringing coyotes, bringing terrorists over the states, and yeah,
yeah.
great movie.
Did now what was the first one better to you or this one?
I think the first one was better. I'm a big Denis Villeneuve fan,
Hmm.
and the second one was not directed by him. And usually the first one's better than the second, anyways. But the second was still a really great movie for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I watched Black Widow actually yesterday morning. Yeah, found it in Davy Jones's locker, if you know what I mean.
Good man, good man. Fuck Disney, though. They're charging so much for that shit. Fuck them.
30 $30 to watch it on Disney when you could go to the movie theater. I mean, it would still cost you $20, but it's still like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They want $30 for you to sit at home and watch Black Widow. It's crazy. I don't know.
that's $30. I'm sure you watched it with your kids, right?
I didn't watch. Actually, my kids were sleeping while I watched it. I would have watched it if they were up, but they,
Okay, I was gonna say that's $30 you could have spent elsewhere on your kids, but it's $30 you would have spent only on yourself,
yeah.
Hal there. So Salvador Dali.
um, I always ask this too. Favorite all-time horror movie for you?
Yeah, I've never been a big horror guy. Um, that's such a hard question, man. Probably like The Shining or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I watched a cool one this week. It was like kind of corny, but what was it called? Velvet Buzzsaw
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah,
with
with
Jake
Jake.
Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a strange one. Yeah,
Yeah,
about
it's kind of. I didn't think it was a horror movie until like fucking an hour and a half into it. I didn't know that, but yeah.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I have. I always ask this too. I know you're a hip hop guy too. If you've been listening to hip hop, what have you been listening to lately? Whether it be old stuff or new stuff.
Um. Oh God, don't make me bring this shit up, huh? No, we went over something in the last podcast. I won't bring it up again because it's embarrassing. But like
Oh,
Cool Keith, man, I always give my props to Cool Keith. He's the
yeah,
best to ever do it. I own over 50 of his vinyls. I have like a ton of his shit on CDs and tapes and everything. T-shirts. I just love him. I think he's the most innovative rapper in history, and I don't think there'll ever be anyone like him to do it or to ever do it in the future. He's just so iconic to me. Yeah, so Cool Keith, man, he's always in my rotation, man.
yeah. Now, were you a big Ultramagnetic MCs fan too?
No, I was like, obviously, I am now. Excuse me, but I first got into him with Octagon, man. Like that's I was I think 15 or 16 when it came out,
Yeah,
and yeah, like Octagon, man, that shit was so mind bending. That's why I said to Ron, man, like that's a good album to start on, man, because like
yeah.
if that don't get you, I don't know what will, man.
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring up the Migos thing.
I like Migos, okay? I like Migos. Let the world know. Just don't put it on my fucking gravestone.
um, and finally, my last question: what is your favorite song to play live? And give me like your favorite song to play live with Cell Press, um, Angles, and Animal Ethics. Like, what were like those three bands? What were your favorite song? What is your favorite song to play live when you were, active in those bands and Cell Press, obviously now?
Cell Press probably like one of the new ones, Cell Prescient. Um, that's probably my favorite one. It's just It's got a really good groove to it. Unfortunately, we haven't like the three shows we played. There's like 15, 20 people there.
Mm.
It was before we released anything or anybody knew who we were or anything. So it was just us going around. But like that's the one I think I'll like playing in front of like an actual crowd of like 30 people instead of 20.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I,
Animal Ethics are probably riots, like because or actually Blue is a fun one too because like anything with the chanting in it and stuff because we really made a thing in that band where we wanted to have like chanting parts where people could participate.
yeah.
And I don't know if you checked out any of our videos, but we have some live videos and uh, it was just so fun, man. Because like when people actually got to know the words and would go to every show. Um, we shot one music video. I don't even know if it's on YouTube anymore. I think the guy who directed it had to take it down because he had some job where his name could be on it or something.
Oh, geez.
But uh, we had $1,000 budget for the video, and that was like on top of like the director and his bullshit. He was doing it for free, just like to cross promote type thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Let's take $1,000 fucking dollars, find a place that will host the show for free, buy $1,000 worth of beer, and tell people there's free beer at the fucking show, and give them a free download like a week before.
Yeah.
And bro, that was fucking insane, man. Like people showed up, like the grimiest people showed up and went fucking nuts for that one, man. The free beer was gone like in like less than an hour, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Blue, was that released as a single or was that on like a longer release? Did you release that song Blue as just a single?
No, it's on Human Rights too.
Oh, it is.
On the full length. Yeah. But that song's I don't know if you know the context of that. It's like it was a time where we had a prime minister in Canada called Stephen Harper. He was the prime minister for like 10 years and he was conservative, which is like the Republican version. He was just a terrible, terrible prime minister. So it was like all about him, like the chanting was our message to you, Stephen Harper, is you can fuck right off. Like that was the chant on that song.
Yeah.
And then fuck off like it's corny but it was like a really political thing at that time, so that's why we put that one out as a single because there was an election coming up or something and we thought it was a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Now what about Angles? What was your favorite song to play live for Angles?
Geez, like honestly I freestyle every time I hit the stage with Angles, man, so it's like the whole thing, the whole
So
fucking thing.
so when the full length album came out, was that kind of freestyling, or did you like take your time to write down lyrics for that? Like, you know what I mean?
No, there's no lyrics at all. It's completely freestyle. It's like scat, but in like metal.
So,
That's the only way to put it.
where did you come up with the song names? Like, what is it? Tampons in September. Like,
Yeah, I think it's Sean sent me a message. It's like, hey, what's the song names? Because we put out a tape of that.
yeah,
And he's like, what's the song names? I'm like, Tampon in September, Alcoholics Cousins, Brodigan's Gun. Like I just made up shit and like texted him back, and that was the song names. I
nice.
didn't even know which songs were gonna be which name. I just sent him the names. Yeah. It's so funny that you like that album, man, because it's like it was just so like just boom, we did it, like it was not no effort at all. It was just completely from the
Which makes it great because now the backstory it like makes it even greater. You know what I mean? Because I like the backstory of this now. You know what I mean? It doesn't disappoint me at all. It's like interesting to hear something like that happens. And like I said, it sounds so good that it works. You know what I mean? It just worked out perfectly.
thanks, brother.
And like I said, Cell Press. I mean, Terminal Knave is like holy shit, dude. When I heard that,
That's actually that's actually a cover of an Angles song.
oh really?
Um, that we that's basically what we took an Angles song and I wrote lyrics to it and we produced it. It came out on like a mixtape,
Oh no,
uh, like a compilation with like 30 other bands. With I'll send you the Angles version.
yeah.
But yeah, that we basically just took that and fine tuned it. did what we didn't do with angles.
Yeah. Well, that just shows you how much I like angles.
Thanks, man.
All right. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to thank you so much again for doing this. It's great talking to you. It was fun doing the thing with Craig and Ron too.
Yeah, man.
Weeks ago, that was super fun. It's just great to get to know you and shoot the shit with you. And like I said, I'm always pushing Cell Press because I love that band. And anything that you guys have going on, I'm going to push it because I haven't heard one thing that I don't like. So hats off to you. And once
Thanks,
again,
man.
thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it, man.
Yo, thank you for getting New Day Rising back together, man. I can't fucking wait to hear that, dude. No, but seriously, you guys are like, what you guys are doing is so cool because I don't know anybody else who really does what you guys are doing. Maybe I don't keep my eyes too open, but like I just love I watch all your guys' shit like not always live, hardly ever live. I don't have time, but like I always watch it back, and I just think the format where like it's so long and you can get through so much shit. It's not like I did so many interviews for when we released the EP that was just like, so what did you do when COVID was happening? What is
Yeah,
your favorite pastime? What do you cook when you're cooking at home? Like stuff like that. And it's just it's boring to do the interview, and it's like it's not important at all. Like, you know what I mean? I get through it and I write it out because it's always typed out shit. It's
yeah,
never like, but I just think that what you guys are doing is yeah, really really cool. I thought it was like I said before, like these bands from Toronto and stuff that I used to like idolize, and I didn't even know what the guys looked like, um, or like what their attitude was, or what they and like it's like got me to know them a bit, like know what they're about, and I just think it's so awesome, and I hope you guys both just keep doing it, man.
yeah. I
Just
mean,
keep on
like I
doing
said,
it.
I feel like I'll keep going for at least another 50 or so, and then I'll figure it out. Like I said, maybe I get to 100 and I'm like, fuck it, I'll do 150. It's just, how my mindset is at the time. I love talking to people like face to face. Obviously, like a listening podcast is fun too, but I feel like it's more personalized when me and you are looking each other in the face and we see each other's expressions and laugh and shit like that. It's kind of, you don't know when you're just listening. Kind of, you don't get the gist of what everybody's saying. So I just like to personalize it and make it fun. And just, like I said, I like to bridge gaps and that's just something
And,
super for me.
and it works, and like people actually fucking care, man. Like, because a lot of these guys that I bring up, they go on, and they're like, oh man, I haven't done an interview in so long. Like nobody really asks us to do these things like this format, and it's just like, fuck, man. I don't want to say there's a market for it because I don't fucking like any of that. Like
No, I agree.
thinking it from that perspective, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But like, there's a market for it. Like, there's a intellectual market for it. People want to hear it. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
Uh, Especially young people, I think. You know?
Yeah, but like I said, because some young people haven't heard of like the older bands that I talk.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then that vice versa. Somebody older, I talk about new bands. You know what I mean? And like I talked to Jordan from the Blood Brothers, and I sent him the Bandcamp link to Diana Kralls, which is a band from Montreal
Oh,
too,
shit.
which I'm really into. So I'm always trying to just like get people to listen to new stuff, and I don't. I've always been a hardcore kid, and I don't want people to forget that this scene has meant a shit ton to me. It still has. I'm like bridging on age 50 soon. I'm 49 and a half, and I don't think I'll ever slow down from listening to this music ever, honestly.
See, like Diana Kralls, man, fucking amazing, fucking
Mm.
amazing. They're from my city, and I learned about them from Ron. Like I don't even know them. And they're fucking amazing. And like I hope our paths cross at some point. Like I really do. But like I found out about them from Ron, and that's my city, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
It's great. It's crazy. They actually are putting a split out with Botfly, which was what
Oh
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I love the Botfly's new stuff. I really do. I love it.
Me too, definitely. Yeah, I know that that's going to be in the future for those two bands, so that's pretty cool.
Awesome. I'm glad to
Um,
hear that.
but like I said, I don't want to take too much of your time. Like I said, I have to walk my dogs too as well. But I want to thank you, PQ, so much for doing this. Take care. Always stay in touch with me. I'll shoot you that link to Barrett and whatever else I think you might not have heard. And let's stay in touch, man.
Right on, brother.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Hal.
Thank you. Have a good night, man.
You too, man. Cheers, brother.
Peace.